Lucy's Kitchen, it's Lucy's Kitchen. She's Lucy and she's got a kitchen. Lucy's Kitchen.
And now that we've got your attention, let's cook. Hi there. Welcome to Lucy's Kitchen. I'm Lucy and this is my kitchen. Today we're going to make a very tasty side dish. It's called Hasselback Potatoes. Hasselback potatoes are a dish that you may not have heard of, but once you make them, I guarantee they're going to be a family favorite. They were invented by a chef in Sweden at a tavern called the Hasselbacken. Now, of course, excuse my pronunciation. I'm not sure that's how it's said, but obviously that's where they get their name. And while we call them Hasselback and they have sort of a funny name, they actually are one of the most wonderful things I've discovered in the last few years. My son turned me onto them, and ever since we've been making them together and apart, I have just loved them. So, Hasselback potatoes, you slice through the potato in little tiny, well, let me show you one. So when you slice, oops, that one broke, but that's okay. When you slice through a Hasselback potato, you leave it attached at the bottom, and now you've got this wonderful space to put lots and lots of tasty ingredients like butter, cheese, and more butter. So I'm going to show you how to slice them, and then I'll talk to you about the delicious toppings that we can put on them. And when they come out of the oven after they've baked, they're super crispy and delicious, and they have all their delicious toppings already on them. So they're ready to eat, and couldn't be easier. So we'll start with the potatoes. There's a number of techniques that you can use to cut through them so that you don't cut all the way through them, and that is the key. So I've got a skewer through this one, and you can probably see that there's about a 1/2 inch to a little bit more of potato on the other side of the skewer. And by doing that, we don't cut all the way through. We just cut down to the skewer. So I'm going to use my straight, sharp Santoku knife. Great use for this knife, by the way, because it has a straight edge, and it's very sharp, which we need. And we're just going to go right into it and slice down, and it stops. Now, don't dull your knife, but slice thin, and slice as thin as you can without hesitating. And also, you don't want to cut through the potato, so you want to make sure it's even. And once you get the hang of this, you'll be able to go a lot faster, but take your time so you get those slices nice and perfect. And this knife is doing a great job. Now, the downside of using a skewer is that it's sometimes difficult to get the skewer in and to get it straight. So it's one method and it works, but there are a couple of other methods. Oh, this is going to be a great potato. Okay, cut through it. Oh well, too bad. Just slide it in there, no one will know. About 90% of the time, if you make a mistake in cooking, no one would know. Don't tell them. Just don't tell them. Say, oh, just came apart in cooking. Oh well. And you need to be careful. I did it again. You need to be careful around the edges of the potato because it doesn't go all the way down. You see, like right here, you've got kind of this thing. And if you cut, you'll cut right through it. So I'll just finish off this one, and then we'll move on to our next technique. Okay, that's pretty good. Now I'm going to just take this skewer out, and ta-da, look how beautiful that is. So you'll be able to fill that with delicious ingredients. Next method, it's one of my favorites, is to use 2 chopsticks. Now, chopsticks or wooden spoon handles, whatever. Now, I like chopsticks better because they're a little bit smaller than a wooden spoon. But if you use a big knife and you use the chopsticks, just let them kind of lay there. You don't have to worry about them sliding around your board. You can just kind of put them kind of close to the potato. and then just hold the potato. And as you'll see, it works nicely because, again, your knife stops right at the chopsticks. So you get a nice block there, and keeps you from ruining your potato. The first time I made these, I tried to do this freehand. Big mistake. All right, done. Look how that turned out perfectly. And you just have a little bit of an edge here holding it all together. Super. Okay, now my truly favorite way to do it is with this little gadget. My son thought that since I was into Hasselback potatoes, he would get this wonderful little Hasselback cutter for me. It doesn't cut, it's a guide. You'll see it in a second. And it has 2 nails. It has an indentation the size of a potato. And we'll just slide our potato in here, press it down, make sure it really grabs those nails, and then slide this in. Okay, now we're going to hold it carefully. Again, use your long knife and go through the guides and just start cutting. Don't cut your finger. I'm trying to just hold it steady here because I want to make sure that all the slices are about the same. And when you put pressure on a potato through this thing, it does tend to move a little tiny bit, but it's so worth the hassle of holding it in place. All right, now I'm going to turn it around because I want to slice a couple more slices, and this thing moves. All right, there's one. And okay, and we're done. Look at this. All right. Now that we've learned how to slice the potatoes, now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about dressing the potatoes. So I'm going to just take one. I'll take that one. And so what you do is you put little bits of butter and herbs and cheese and so forth in between the layers, and then you bake them at high temperature, and that melts and bastes them, and it's just really great. There's a couple of ways to do the butter and the cheese. Now I'm going to do my first one with frozen butter, and I've got a cheese knife here that when you drag it across, you get slices. Well, maybe not. My son told me to do it this way. There we go. And so what you want to do is you want to get a bunch of these. Just go ahead and shave the butter. And so we've got some shaved butter here. And just put the pieces in between the layers. Couldn't be easier. And, it's just going to... All right, so they're looking pretty great. So that is, you'll have to shave quite a bit of it, but you can just hold on to the butter and do that. And this is what you do with the cheese too. We're going to do that as well, but not on this potato. That slides in there. And this is a lot of handwork, but if you're only making 1 or 2 potatoes, I can tell you that this is a really good way to go. So if you're just making it for yourself and a friend, you can just stuff it in there with, and you see, you can also take a sharp knife and just cut thin slices. You don't have to just use the cheese thing, but the slices tend to be a little bit bigger. And that's okay, just break them in half. Stuff them down there. Okay. And okay, so first one is done. Now typically people use melted butter for this. And so we're going to do some cheese and use melted butter for the potato. So again, just like with butter, we're just going to scrape pieces of cheese off, and we want thin slices. And you could use shredded cheese, but honestly, this cheese melts nicer. When you buy shredded cheese, it's very convenient, but they put some sort of emulsifier on it to keep it from getting moldy. And so it doesn't always melt as beautifully as grating it yourself. Okay, and now I'm going to take my potato and put, this one is tricky. And start putting some cheese in there. Stuff it in there. So, if you cut these just the right way, they're quite hardy. They don't come apart. They don't fall to pieces, which is what you want. And, all right, now this potato is ready to get the melted butter. So I'm going to put it right in here. Next, we're going to talk about compound butter. So I like compound butter because it has all of the seasonings already in it. Compound butter is nothing more than butter mixed with herbs. And in this case, it has lemon zest, it has garlic, it has rosemary. This is going to be just insanely delicious. And so what you want is I guess the spatula will work. You want to just have a little rubber spatula or a brush, and we're going to open up the slices and just kind of rub this in the middle of the slice. And these are just going to be crazy. Okay, now that smells incredible. And put that aside. And so I haven't done the melted butter yet, so I'm going to bring my dish here. Actually, let me just do it here. I've got this melted butter, and I'm just going to show you. Typical way to do it is to just put some melted butter into each cut. And, you want to really kind of drench them. And when we're done with this, I'm going to just spread a little bit of melted butter on every one of them, whether it has butter or not. But this is the easiest way to do it. And you definitely get a little butter on your hands. So there we go. And then finally, it's an opportunity for you to do something that you like. For example, I happen to like green chili, and I like green chili and cheddar cheese. So I'm going to make one that has green chili and cheddar cheese. So I'm going to go ahead and chop up some more of this cheese, and we'll take this one. And I chopped up some medium hot green chili. I'm just going to put, in fact, I'm just going to use my fingers because I want to know how much I'm putting in between each one. But you can use a little tongs or something if you want, or a fork. And so you just open it up, and you know what? You probably can't see that because I foolishly put that in front. So, okay, now you can see that you put it right in the middle and just stick it in there if it stays. If you do this, you'll probably need about, well, if you're using whole green chilies, you might need a couple of green chilies for 3 or 4 potatoes. And you just dice them up pretty fine. These are going to really be good. When you take these out of the oven later, you might even have other toppings that you'll have available for people to put on. So now I've got the green chili, and we're going to just do the same thing we did before, which is to just stuff little bits and pieces of this cheese in here. And this is a great project to have someone help you with, because it's really easy. Nobody can say, oh, but I can't cook. No, you can. You can certainly do this. And we're done with that. Okay, that's a beauty. Now, oh my God, they're gorgeous. Okay, so what we've done is we have got compound butter. We've got, this is frozen butter. We've got cheese. We've got cheese and green chili. And then we have two that are just melted butter. And I'm going to take my melted butter and I'm going to just brush the top of all of them, especially the ones that don't have any butter at all, meaning the ones with the cheese. I'm going to brush them, and even though this one has frozen butter, I'm still going to brush it with some of the melted butter. And even though this has some compound butter, you can't have too much butter in Hasselback potatoes. Okay, so now they're all ready to go, except for, of course, the salt and pepper. We're going to add that right now to the top of them. I'm going to use some kosher salt and sprinkle it over the top. It's going to stick to the butter. Another reason to put extra butter on them is so that this sticks, because I will tell you that it'll give that potato a wonderful salty crunch. And it's a very pleasant thing. So I'm going to do that. Okay. And then pepper. Now this is freshly ground pepper. I'm going to just sprinkle it over the top. You could do it directly out of the grinder. I'm a big fan of pepper. All right. Now, when they come out, of course, people will add their own salt to them, because they'll probably need more than just this little tiny sprinkle. Okay, so I'm going to put these in the oven, let them cook, and I'll meet you back here in a little while. Well, I am so excited. These turned out gorgeous. Look at them. Oh my God, can you believe how beautiful that is? As I said earlier, you're going to just want to make these all the time. You're going to fall in love with them. All right. Now, when you plate this at home, you'll want to make it look super cute, because it is cute and it's already delicious, but sometimes you just want to add a little extra. So I suggest that you put some sour cream across the top, kind of like a little row. Look how pretty that is. And there you go. And it'll kind of dribble down. All right. And then, my favorite, take some bacon and sprinkle it across the top of the sour cream so it sort of sticks. And on your plate, you'll also have some fall on the plate, which would be fun because people like extra bacon. And I think that looks really lovely. So now we're going to taste it. Grab myself a fork. And my favorite part. So let me just cut this little bit off here, because I think that looks great. It's crispy, tender, smells delicious, smells like, I don't know what. And yum. The essence of potato. Tender on the inside and crispy on the outside with wonderful seasonings. What could be better than this? There isn't anybody that you would serve this to who wouldn't be thrilled. You're going to fall in love with this dish, and I guarantee you'll want to make it over and over again. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us here at Lucy's Kitchen. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and come back next week when we will share more delicious recipes from my kitchen to yours.